Today is we love Snoop Day because he fight for his life when y'all know he didn't do it. But he got to go through all this, make all his mama's hair gray for this.
How do you feel having been on the other side of situations like this?
I'm going to the studio to make Bob Doe mad. I'm finna make you real mad for what y'all doing to my homeboy.
In the wake of Tupac's death, there was a lot of debate about how he died. But what's even crazier is that it took 27 years for the truth to come out. Tupac's untimely death sent shockwaves through the rap industry.
Showing up at a hospital where Tupac is lying sick.
On September 29th, the rapper Keith D was arrested. At the time, the entire rap world thought this was the end of the road and that we had found the rapper's murderer. However, this is not the case. Diddy and Snoop Dogg are very close, and now that Tupac is dead, Snoop could be in serious trouble. Snoop Dogg was in Las Vegas on September 7, 1996. He was attending a boxing match between Bruce Seldon and Mike Tyson. He was there to celebrate his business partner, Tracy Daniel Robinson's birthday. This is when things escalated. In the lobby of the hotel where the fight was taking place, a member of the group saw Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, an 18-year-old Southside Compton resident. The witness accused him of harassing him in a shopping centre and trying to take the chain, which bore a Death Row Records medallion. It appears that Baby Lane was beaten to death that night. Tupac Shakur then returned to the hotel lobby, changed his clothes, and drove with his partner, Suge Knight, as part of a larger convoy to the Death Row nightclub in his black BMW 750 TUI sedan. They were pulled over at approximately 11 p.m. for being loud and obnoxious and for having no license plates on their vehicle. At approximately 11:15 p.m., a white four-door late-model Cadillac approached the BMW's passenger side and shots were fired rapidly into the vehicle as a hand emerged from the rear window. Tupac was hit 4 times, once through the chest, once through the thigh, once through the arm, and once through the right lung. Only shrapnel penetrated Suge Knight, and he talks about that night months after it happened.
It's still there. But for as trying to get him to the hospital didn't make me realize that I was shot. Because usually when you get shot in the head, the first thing the person do is panic. You know, bam, I'm shot in the head, I'm about to die. And once you do that, you can't drive nowhere. My whole thing was, Pac, he was shot. I'm like, you shot? I'm going to get you to the hospital. I'm driving, telling him I'm going to get to the hospital, kick back. Pac looked at me and said, you know what? You need the doctor more than me. You're the one shot.
Make sure you're a subscriber and set the post notification bell so you'll never miss any future celebrity videos like this. Let's move on. Snoop Dogg has been talking about his hatred for Suge Knight for quite some time now. Even though Snoop was signed to Death Row Records, which Suge ran at the time, the two men couldn't stand each other's company. There were a lot of misunderstandings that eventually led to a years-long beef. This resulted in Snoop having a beef with Tupac. He even talked about the night that he shot Tupac. He still has a beef with him on the Full Send podcast. Which is crazy when you consider that Snoop was in the car at the time and he could have been hit as well. And we're not talking about him today. Snoop finally opened up about the end of their long-running rivalry. In an interview with a 2016 Breakfast Club, the rapper revealed that he and Suge Knight had put an end to their years-long disagreement. When asked about his relationship with the Knight, Snoop had an exasperated look on his face as he said, "We really cool. We had a 3-4 hour conversation. Once when I saw him, I slipped, doing something I shouldn't have, and he came up behind me, and instead of reacting badly, I went into my normal mode. I said, I'm going to lay up Boo to the side, and you can come upstairs and meet me, and we'll catch up and have some real love." The rapper also said that Tupac seemed to get preferential treatment from Sobega Schneider, probably because he was the biggest moneymaker on the label, and Snoop didn't like Odd. Snoop also said that, if someone else was in charge of Death Row at that time, I think things would have been a lot smoother with Tupac. For those of you who don't know Tuga Schneider, he got a podcast out of jail called Collect Call with Suge Knight. In one of the podcast's episodes, Tuga revealed Snoop
and Michael Harris are doing something together as a team. That tells you a lot of I'm disappointed in that motherfucker because if it weren't for me, you'd still be in prison doing life. You turn around and you said you partners up with this dude. Neither one of y'all got death row or bought death row or purchased death row. I spent $6 million on that case to make sure he didn't get life in prison. Every day Snoop went to trial and those guys had to come testify against him. It was 100 Pyrus and Bloods out there standing up on that court road. No dudes had to walk past.
There are two sides to this story. First, there is the fact that Suge Knight provided Snoop with a legal team to keep him out of jail. But then there's also the fact that you can't be bitter about the fact that your own misdeeds landed you in prison for life, while you lost a $500 million empire because of your ego. Before we move on to the next part of this story, do you think it's likely that Snoop will have to serve time in prison in connection with Tupac's death? Or are you of the opinion that it's all just hot air and nothing's going to come of it? One of the biggest points of contention among fans is Snoop Dogg saying in an interview several years ago that he didn't like Tupac's hit song Hoodlum because it was a hypocrisy aimed at Biggie.
You can see both points of view, as Suge Knight helped prevent Snoop Dogg from being in jail by providing him a legal team. But then you cannot be salty that your own actions led you to jail for the rest of your life, while you fumbled a $500 million empire due to your own ego. Before we go any further into the video, do you guys think it's likely Snoop Dogg could face some jail time in link to Tupac's passing? Or do you believe it's all just speculation and nothing will come from it? Comment down below. One of the bigger instances which doesn't sit right with fans is when Snoop Dogg said in an interview from a few years back he hated Tupac's Hit 'Em Up diss song targeted at Biggie, as it was a very hypocritical statement.
Even when he played Hit 'Em Up the song, I didn't like the song.
Did you feel like it was
I didn't
too
like
much?
it.
Right.
I didn't like it. Like, I didn't like the shit. Like, it wasn't like the shit to me. Like, it was you buying more problems, cuz. Like, you're buying problems. Gangsters is everywhere. They make them everywhere. And I think when he got with us, he got to the mind state that we the motherfuckers.
The main reason for this is that Snoop was famous for dissing him in the same time period and even hit him with Tupac all these years later. That's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe to News Portal for more Starbuck videos in the future, and don't forget to turn on the post notification bell for future uploads. See you next time.